minutes, a few seconds.
Never been done before. Watermelon cheesecake.
A cheesecake tasting in the south suburbs. Louis McWilliams' dream is to grow his business.
And it's gonna blow you away.
I like it.
All was good.
Oh my God, it's so good. I told you. This is like a Jolly Ranch.
Until this.
Why are you being determined right now, Mr. McWilliams?
I'm an entrepreneur. I have a company, a cheesecake company called Ann's Flavored Cheesecakes.
At the time of this interview, Louis faced a felony charge.
This has been very traumatic for me. I feel like my rights was violated.
His Second Amendment rights. Louis is an avid gun owner.
Just got me the AR up top, one in the middle.
In April, Louis was pulled over on the south side, West 79th Street. He had a missing front plate.
Hey, how's how you doing, boss? Good, good.
The first thing he did, tell the officers he had a gun.
Okay, where's your firearm?
On my side.
Okay, you got your concealed carry license?
According to state law, in order to carry a legal gun in your car, you need a firearms license, better known as a FOID card, and a concealed and carry license, commonly called a CCL. This is Louis's card, and it's valid. That's what he handed the officers.
He looks at him. He said, okay, cool, this is perfect.
Only it wasn't.
Concealed carry, it didn't pop up.
Oh.
It didn't pop up on Leeds, the database operated by the Illinois State Police. Police recommended Louis be charged with 2 felonies.
Why are you being determined right now, Mr. McWilliams? Because we can't verify your concealed carry, okay?
And look here. Prosecutors approved the charges.
He never should have been charged.
Irv Miller is a former prosecutor, once in charge of reviewing police cases.
He showed them a valid CCL card. Not only did they see it, they actually took possession of it and inventoried it.
I haven't got the new one yet.
It's right there in CPD's inventory sheet. So why was Louis arrested? That's a question we wanted to ask Superintendent Larry Snelling, but he declined an interview. So we reached out to state police because anytime an officer pulls over a driver who has a gun, the first thing they do is check the state's database to see if that driver has a valid FOID and CCL.
Oh, okay.
So here's the question we asked the state. If a driver like Louis actually hands the police a valid CCL, but the officers don't see the information in the state's database, what should they do? The state replied, the officers should not take any law enforcement action as it relates to a potential FOID CCL violation. That's what Louis expected, and what he was told later as he stood in a jail cell.
And if this comes back clean,
yeah, then they just let you go, apologize, and let you go about your day.
That's not what happened. Louis spent 24 traumatic hours behind bars.
it was just deplorable. There were roaches falling from the ceiling. All of this because of illegal everything.
Yeah, I can't tell you why.
I need somebody to tell me, man.
Worse than the jail conditions? A missed business opportunity.
That day, I had a meeting. Could not do the meeting that day because I was arrested. By losing that, I might have lost the franchise.
Louis also lost time, lots of it. He was in and out of court fighting to get the charges dismissed, and his impounded car returned.
I know this is a system, so just hoping for the best results.
It wasn't until mid-June, 3 months after he was stopped that the case was finally dismissed.
I'm very excited for him, but this is not the end.
Next step, more money spent to expunge the case, so his arrest won't show up in a background check.
And all of this for somebody who did nothing wrong?
Correct.
Your joy is a little bit...
Dampered, yes. Totally dampered, because now this is a much longer process.
It's nearly impossible to know how many drivers like Lewis are wrongly charged with unlawful gun possession that are later dismissed. Neither the CPD or the Cook County State's Attorney's Office track it.
Because we got to confirm whether it's actually valid or not.
We did find a handful of lawsuits accusing police of violating the rights of legal.
Welcome back, my PBM family. Welcome back. Another episode of Old School Cops. First and foremost, right before I get my thing, I'd like to thank all my supporters, my followers for supporting the PBM brand. You guys are sending in a lot of videos. So y'all, that's telling me that you guys respect the analysis from us, and we appreciate that. So I got to show y'all some love for supporting the brand. As you know, it's a 3-man unit as always. You have the most intensive, most knowledgeable squad in social media. When we start talking about experiences, these are guys from the community, and they also police their community. So we have advantages that a lot of cops that's not from the community has. Not to say they wasn't good cops, just to say that we could relate to the people, and that's one of the things that I myself find that hinders a lot of police officers who's not from the community able to relate. This particular squad, we got the OG of law enforcement. This guy been policing and doing police work and still in the community, giving back to the community with his many years of experience. This is the grandfather. This is the OG of law enforcement, Ted Golden. He started out as a city cop. He did so well in one of the most roughest cities in the United States. He took his talents to the federal level, became a DEA agent, and he was able to take his talents nationwide, not just one particular city. My boy Shane to the right of me, always shotgun. Always got to respect the guys from the community. Like I said, Ted, myself, and not only that, he was a SWAT commander. He was a part of a street enforcement, you call it Red Dogs there in Atlanta. If you guys watch BMF, you guys know what the Red Dogs did to BMF. When it comes down to you sending the videos, we give you analysis. We have a wealth of experience, and we appreciate the support. This particular video, and I wanted the audience to know, right, that there is a lot of times, right, that everything ain't textbook, right? You can't police verbatim from textbook because that's not how policing is. Sometimes you got to have common sense. Sometimes you got to be smart enough to understand, like, things ain't going to fit into place. So you got to be able to look at a situation and come up with the best solution possible. In policing, a lot of damage is done because a lot of departments are emphasizing numbers. Go out and make arrests, go out and make arrests. And looking at this particular arrest, they got 2 felonies out of it, right? They got 2 felonies out of it. I try so hard to understand, why would you lock up this guy who has a concealed weapons permit, right? As you can see, state police said he shouldn't even been locked up. So I get it, he wasn't in the system, but sometimes that happens. Clerical error, the system goes down. That's when the officer has to use his common sense. You could easily, if you were so concerned about this guy, there's computers in his cars, you see this guy is a businessman. I've never, and I was in a gun and drugs unit. I recovered a lot of guns off the street. I've taken a lot of guns off the subjects. I've never had a subject with a concealed weapons permit involved in criminal activity. I asked a bunch of officers this. I said, have you ever locked somebody up? Like, do bad guys really go get concealed weapon permits? I've never experienced it. Not to say it just never happened. I'm just saying I've never experienced it. And I've made contact with people with concealed weapon permits. They have firearms on me. They showed me they concealed weapons. There's certain procedures you can do to actually make sure that the person carrying the gun is legit to carry it. And it bothers me that this business guy, he went through the ringer because it seemed to me that all these cops was worried about was felony arrest. And when you got officers, right, that all they want is felony arrest, not to say these two officers are, but it just doesn't make sense why you would go to the extent of locking somebody up under this type of circumstances. If you were so concerned and say hypothetically, oh, they wasn't for sure, was the permit fake, they couldn't verify it because the system's down, you got his information. Take the gun, log in the property, have him come get it when you're able to verify it. If you was that concerned, the permit looked real, the prosecutor said everything looked legit, he shouldn't have been arrested, but just you're on the street, you got to make decisions, you got to make judgments calls. I'm trying to give them and trying to understand, right? Why would you do it? The only other reason I can think of is, okay, we wasn't sure the permit was real or not, right? Okay, take the gun, give them a property voucher and say, look, we're going to log it in the property because your permit, I can't verify it because the system is not shown, it's not in the system. So give me a few days and we'll see, and then I'll give you a phone call, you come pick up your gun. If that was the case, like, I don't understand why you would go to this extent to put this innocent guy through the ringer. You arrest him, you hurt his business. Why would any officer just do that? I can't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. OG, can you make sense of this? Because I definitely can.
Well, it's classic, like you said. It's classic people not going the extra mile to make sure what they're doing is right. The first person that should have figured that out was a supervisor. Now let's back up to the teaching stuff we got to do now. Every officer should know what a legitimate permit to carry license looks like. They should know. They should have a way of looking at it automated to go into a system to verify it. And they should also be able to make a phone call to say, hey, I got this guy on the side of the road. Can you check to make sure he's got a valid permit? The number is X, Y, Z, and W. So that's on front end. Okay. The second point is this, like you said before, people are looking for felony arrest so they can get good stats. And they're not concerned about who they harm in the meantime. I'll tell you a story about that later. The next stage is your state legislator. This guy went through something he should never have gone through. And what he needs to do is get in contact with his politicians, his county commissioner or city council, the people who make the local laws, and his state representative, because they should be able to enact some state laws or make some state rules or local rules that make this go away, that make this never happen again to anybody else. And this is how you hold your elected officials accountable. You let them fight your battle for you, especially since you voted for them. Hopefully you voted. And then you make sure that nobody else goes through these kind of changes because of a glitch in the system. Okay? That's why politicians are here. They're here to make sure that people like him don't get caught up in the trap. And also make it easier for him to get it expunged. A lot of times you have to have a state legislature to get it expunged. A lot of folks don't know that. And don't just expunge it. You got to have a recommendation from a state legislature that goes through your court system and says expunge the record. Now that's usually if it's somebody who's been convicted of a felony. But in this instance, it should be automatic. Okay? If this mistake is made and you go through the process and they lock this man up, the judge should be able to say expunge his record instead of having to go through the process. The same judge who dismissed the case should say that. Now let's hit the home run. The home run is this. Don't tell folks you got a gun in your car. It's not their business. When you get pulled over and you have a legitimate reason to have a weapon, unless you have it on you and they're patting you down, they should not know that you got a weapon in your car because they're stopping you for a traffic violation. Take your ticket and go on about your business. Don't volunteer any information about you being authorized to carry a weapon because it's none of their business stopping you for a traffic violation. So that's part of that is on him, not knowing that he'd have to do that. So essentially, when you become a licensed carrier or weapon, they ought to be able to give you all the do's and don'ts and everything else in writing and tell you how you should handle yourself if indeed you should come in contact with a law enforcement officer, and how to handle the situation. I got my permit to carry. It's legitimate. And when you look at it, you know, because my picture's on it. And I also carry my retired credentials. So you know, I got 2 ways to show you that I'm authorized to carry a firearm. Because when you retire, you can take your gun with you. And automatically in every state in the United States, once you're a retired federal officer anyway, you're allowed to carry a weapon. I just got the permit to carry just to be on the safe side because, you know, every once in a while I do feel a little uncomfortable. I put my, when I first retired, I took it with me all the time. But now if I feel a little uncomfortable going to Walmart in the middle of the night, or, you know, I'm traveling across the state or whatever, I go ahead and throw my pistol in there and make sure that it's there for me when I need it.
Yeah, I appreciate that educational lesson. That you hit the nail on the head, man. Yep. Shane, what you think?
Yeah, you're both hit on the head. It's hard to sum up. I mean, you both hit very valid points. First of all, as an officer, you can tell by the person driving a nice car how he presents himself, his manner, and he was so upcoming and upfront. Hey, I got a weapon on me, sir. Here's my concealed weapon license here, what have you. Like you mentioned at the outset, you've never seen a person who had a concealed weapons license really trying to commit a crime or really trying to hurt anybody. And it really boils down to, again, what Ted said, that just like you look at a driver's license, right? I got my concealed weapons license also. You should be able to look at that and say, oh, okay, it's valid. If it didn't come in the system, okay. But he told you the information. For me, that's good enough for me. What it boils down to, and you both touched on it really nicely, productivity. I've had a lieutenant who wanted solid felony arrests. I had another lieutenant who, you throw anything on the wall, he just wanted productivity. And what I really think was that these guys were behind on arrest. So, oh, I got somebody, let me do it. And to me, that's bad policing, because all the hoops that you have to jump through, the guy went to jail, got to fight the case, the felony charge, got to go to get it expunged. That's bad police work. We can tell as cops, we're a very good judge of character. Once in a blue moon, we might be wrong, but 9 times out of 10, our gut is right. I would have known from Jump Street, this well-dressed, articulate, behaved man was good. You know, the traffic stop to me was phony, because they didn't do anything about the traffic. The moment he mentioned he had a weapon, it turned. So again, I base this on productivity, but I'm glad here in the state of Georgia, I didn't have to worry about too much. I've encountered on traffic stops a lot of people who have carried weapons, who had weapons on them. Sometimes they told me, sometimes they didn't. In the state of Georgia, it's not necessary for you to have your concealed weapons license. As long as you have it in your glove console, if you have it on your person for self-defense, or in your car, it's a lawful use. It's a lawful purpose. I've seen many guns. I didn't feel the need. Oh, I gotta remove your gun. Let me check your license. All that. To me, that was unnecessary, because I've seen it so many times. So as you both said,
and you can't ask either. You can't ask them if they have a gun, a permit. You can't ask them. That they volunteered is one thing, but you can't ask them. Exactly. As a law enforcement.
Exactly. Outstanding there, sir. That's the senior statesman has hit it again. But again, as you both have said it, there was no need for this arrest. You can tell by looking at a person, by the way they behave, the way they act, and I just feel it was bad policing. It was a way to get some activity, and believe it or not, guys, throughout the city, throughout the states, at different municipalities, cops are garnered on how much activity you are doing, how many parking tickets you got, how many arrests you got, how many felony, how many DVs. I'll give you guys a personal story. I'm not a parking ticket. I'm not a speeding guy. I didn't have enough tickets, and I got sat down. I got to go to Hotel 1 because I didn't have enough productivity, but I had the most DV arrests. I had the most slide of crime. They threw that in the garbage. They wanted more traffic tickets. I said, guys, you got the traffic guys for that. That's
called revenue. Revenue. It's called revenue.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Correct. I'm not that guy. You know, drugs, violent crimes, DV, I'm your man. I'm going to get as many arrests as I can. I'm very good at that. But as far as anything else, I wasn't too worried about. But you had a captain, a lieutenant, who didn't care about that at all. I had another one who cared about it every day. So as you guys said, they could have did better in this at this stop. And I would have never did what these cops did on this stop.
Yeah, I agree. And I just try to understand the mindset, because we all been in those environments, and I can't understand that. Only thing I can say, if they didn't think that it was valid because they couldn't verify it. Okay, if you didn't, I would have never. I wouldn't have done that. But
Err on the side of caution.
You think, right? Just take the firearm, log it in the property, and then tell them, once we verify, you can pick it up. Why are you gonna take this guy freedom? Like people just don't understand the severity of taking somebody's freedom, putting them in jail, putting them in a system. You talking about most cops really don't understand. Like, yo, you go through the ringer. Like, you really you could really destroy somebody's family. Like, you could destroy them. Like, destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't get it, man. And like you, Shane, like, I wasn't a ticket guy. I was more of a guns and drugs guy. Even in patrol, I remember one moment where we had a new sergeant come, and he's going over the stat sheet from the night before, and he was like, Joe, in the middle of roll call, like, and
embarrass you.
The lieutenant was there, and the sergeant was new to the shift. And I do not sit and write a bunch of tickets. I don't. I'm not that guy. I'm trying to hunt down somebody who robbed somebody who raped somebody, a burglar. I'm trying to take a gun off the street. That was me in the early stages of my patrol. And
real crime. Exactly.
He was like this. He was like, Joe, your stats are a little low. I was like, I don't do that, Sarge. He's like, what do you mean? We all do that. And the lieutenant was like, I'll talk to you after the roll call. Joe, you're doing just fine. We'll talk later. And then everybody was like, oh, shit, like, what's going on? So he said, Joe, stay behind. I want to introduce you to the sergeant. Everybody left. He was like, listen, Joe's probably not going to be with us long, but every time the captain goes to ComStat is a meeting where command staff get together with each captain, and they pretty much shine on what's being done in their precinct to make the community better. He said this guy cases on a patrol level, the captain has been there 3 times already just on his police work alone. He knows what he's doing. He's not a numbers guy. He's more of a quality guy. Like, his last arrest, he got about it was an 8-ball of coke out of a car, and he got a gun. Captain was proud. He had something to take to ComStat. He was like, just let him be. He's probably not. He says, I guarantee you, he's not going to be with us long, because he tell you in a minute, I didn't become a cop to sit and write tickets. Like, that's just not what I do. Like, and I went out and I made them look good because I had quality arrests. I might have had 3 arrests for the whole month, but we talking about guns. America's Most Wanted guy. Like, I really did real police work. And so I got the pass on that, but I understood the system that I was in. It was a numbers generated game. Like, you ain't have a lot of guys on a platoon that was doing what I was doing with the quality of the type of arrest, but they was pushed. They writing bogus tickets just to put them numbers in, just to keep the brass off their backs. And I get it, and I understand it. I think the policing should never be pushed for numbers. You should never be pushed for numbers. And I never understood that. And when I talk to the bosses, I'm like, why do you guys do that? There's like, so we know you're doing something. I was like, that's not how that is.
All about the money.
Yeah, it's all about money. All about money. You writing these bogus bull tickets. You got to go to court. You got to pay court costs. You got to pay fines. It's a money generated system, and they really need to get away from that, because you're forcing officers to make unnecessary contact. An officer should not be making unnecessary contact because he got to get a number, and that's just point blank. Period. You shouldn't be doing that, but it is done.
Let me give you a story real quick, Joe. Give you my story real quick. 2 cops pull over a guy driving a car that's stolen, that's reported stolen. He's got 2 teenage girls in the car with him. I'm sorry, 3 teenage girls in the car with him. They pulled into the projects. They're right in front of these girls' house. The mother comes outside. The car is reported stolen, but in actuality, it had been recovered. Believe it or not, recovered in my hometown, Jackson, Tennessee. So, but they never took it out of NCIC. The guy has a key. He has the key. The what you call it? The panel is ripped off already, but they didn't get it fixed yet. But he's got the key. So it still looks like it was stolen because it hasn't been repaired. And they decide that they're going to arrest. They got 4 felony arrests. And I'm going, at least find out is for sure is his girlfriend's car, you know. And Lieutenant tells me, go back to your ward. So I go back to my ward. I go to a payphone. This is in 1983, 84.
Relic.
And I go to a payphone. I call the dispatcher and I say to the dispatcher, hey, can you go to this address and see if this girl is there and have her verify that her boyfriend has the key and her permission to drive the car. So South Precinct guy goes to the house, verifies it, comes on the air with it, broadcasts it. They got to cut him loose. So they cut him loose. And Lieutenant said, let me meet with you. So he comes over. He says, why are you messing with their case? And I go, Lou, I said, this is wrong. You don't just arrest these people, especially in the hood in front of their mother. You know, these 3 teenagers didn't deserve to go to jail because the system was wrong. So essentially, he was upset with me because I gave it up. You know, I had him do some research and they had to cut him loose. So then he goes, well, what's this all about, Golden? And I'm going, look, it's a racial thing because there's 2 white guys that did this. So I said, a black man can't even drive a new car down the streets of Memphis in the West Precinct after midnight. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, they stopping them left and right just because they driving new cars. And this is how God worked for you. Right then, one of the white guys gets on the air and he says, show me stopping the black guy driving a new Cadillac, basically is what he said. And I said, see? And he goes, what are the charges? And the guy says, suspicion. That's all he said was suspicion. He didn't say disregard a red light. He didn't say speeding. He didn't say possible DUI. He said suspicion. So the lieutenant goes, break off that call and meet me at the precinct. And you know what he said? He said, I'm sure he said, them brothers watching y'all. Y'all need to be careful about what you're doing around here.
Right.
So they would do it. If you black man drive a new car, they're gonna pull you over. They're gonna search your shit. They're gonna pull all your stuff out your car. They're gonna pull the back seat out. You know how they used to do that. Okay, just so we can look.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. That's why we get bad press. That's why folk don't like us. Is because when we are here doing stuff unnecessarily, okay, all right, it ain't no good. But here's the fix, Joe. When you police a neighborhood and you have relationships with both good people and bad people, okay? Both good people and bad people. When something happens, guess what, Joe? You know about it. They come to you because they trust you.
They come to you all the time.
Call you on the phone
all the time.
They'll specifically ask for you.
Yes.
Okay? Because they know that you're going to be right. That is Golden. I promise you, this is what happened. Okay? You know, we had a John outside the whole house, fell asleep in his car. And they called specifically for my partner. Seymour, can you go by and check this guy? And, you know, sitting outside, you know, the whole house sleep. They thought he was dead, but he was actually asleep. But you know, that's what happens when they're with a guy and they done paid for the service and somebody comes to rob them. They call the cops and they render aid. They tear off their clothes to patch the wounds until we get there and hold it in place. You know, that's what good people do. Even though they bad people, they're still good people. You understand what I'm saying? But realistically, when you in the world and you're doing your job, regardless of what side of the fence you ride on, they know who they can trust, and that's the part that's important. Because when shit hits the fan, you even when you in need of help, they'll show up for you. Trust me, they will.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you said that. If I may interject, funny you said that, Ted. Interesting. I was doing a double. Actually, I was doing a triple. I almost worked 24 hours, right? So I was driving back home along Stone Mountain Highway, and I fell asleep. I pulled on the side of the road, and I didn't know I was in the grass. The car was on. I'm in uniform, and guys, I am dead sleep. When they knocked on the window, I had 4 guns drawn on me. White police officers. I'm in my police uniform now. I'm in my uniform. You can see the badge. You see everything here. Knocking on the window. And then the first question they ask, Not how you doing? Is everything okay? Is this car yours? That's the first thing they ask. Is this car? I said, what are you guys talking about? And, my fault for working so hard. I fell asleep, and thank God I pulled on the side of the road. And the sad thing about it, my foot was on a brake, and I was going. I was knocked out. But the first question he asked me, hey sir, are you okay? What's going on? Oh, I see you in uniform. Oh, you're another brother? None of that. The first question is this car yours? And mind you, I was driving a Mercedes-Benz S500. So they asked me, is this car yours? So that's just how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to head over to the next video. Like we always tell you guys on every video, you don't know who you come in contact with when you make contact with the police or the police make contact with you. So at the end of the day, take your fight to the courtroom. Even though this brother here was in the right, you see how he took his L. There was no fight.
Right. Give him credit.
Yeah. Just because I would have been pissed knowing that my shit is valid and I'm still getting arrested. I would have been mad. Anybody would have been upset. But I like how he handled it. I know he has a big bag coming to him. He has to have a big bag coming to him. This is a businessman who lost business during this whole process. So he has a lot to actually sue about.
It'll be out of court. It'll be out of court. They will not go to trial on that one. They will write him a check. That's what they will do. Definitely are going to settle that case because the cops was 100% wrong. And the way he handled it was actually a perfect example of how you handle it. The cop has the home court advantage on the side of the road. They 100% do. So to prevent you from getting badly hurt or even killed, you do what this man did. You take your L, you take your fight to the courtroom. So please, one more thing, Joe. One more thing. The DA was wrong.
Yep.
Right. 100%.
They should have researched that.
Yeah.
They should have researched that. You don't just take folk word for granted. I mean, you gotta do your job. When you start talking about probable cause to do something, and I'm the DA and I see this card, damn, let me call these folk and verify this before I take this thing any further. Right. And they should have gotten kicked out right away. Yeah. But instead, I believe these cops. Let me move. Some new DA that's trying to make a name for himself that wants to get that scratch. And it's sad because under federal circumstances. When you walk into there with the prosecutor's office, the attorney's office, you better have your shit straight. Because if it ain't straight, they're not gonna take it.
100%.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Nothing's worse than having to listen. I sat between two different prosecutors arguing about whether they want to take my case or not one time, and I'm listening to this BS they talking. And you know what I told them? I said, if I put my handcuffs on them, as far as I'm concerned, they're guilty. Right. I've done my job. Now it's your job to make sure that we go through the steps and make sure the court handles it the way it's supposed to handle it. But don't sit here and flip flap. If I tell you this is what happened, this is what happened. We're not gonna go through all that stuff.
Right.
But the DA should have dismissed that thing right away.
Yeah, he just rubber stamped it, approved, because there was police officers. You gotta understand in this community, you got officers out here that don't know what they're doing. And it was obvious looking at this case. These guys don't know what they're doing.
And that's the kind of folk they're hiring too now, Joe. They're hiring folk that aren't qualified, that don't have the street knowledge nor the book knowledge, and they're lazy. They don't want to write reports. I don't care who you are. When you putting somebody in jail, you better be able to articulate the reason that you locked them up, so that when it gets passed on to somebody else, they can understand it. Nothing's worse than getting a shitty report. Nothing worse than that. Yeah. I had to clean up a guy's paperwork one time. These folk were in jail. They were serving time in prison. He didn't have fingerprint cards. He didn't have arrest reports. They just went in and pled guilty to charges, and they were guilty as homemade sin. Right. But the documentation was embarrassing. Imagine me flying to different cities, meeting folk in prison, serving time, and I got to get their fingerprints. Yeah, I got to get their fingerprints, Joe. Okay, bro. I had to go all the way to New Jersey to get some guy's fingerprints. I had to go to Texas to get two guys' fingerprints. I was so embarrassed, and it was a brother who did it to me. It was a company case that we had, and I got to go back and take care of his, excuse my French, shit, you know. And how these guys got locked up, I never could figure that out because the paperwork wasn't there. It just wasn't. But they were guilty of homemade sin. I'm gonna give you that. They were guilty. It's homemade sin, you know. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, we're gonna close it out. Get to the next video. Hey, Steve 43, what is it? 4346. We're gonna touch on your comment that you had, but we'll touch on it in the next video. So stay tuned, people. Get home safe. Take your fight to the courtroom, and I'll see you next video.
Hurt people, you ain't got to
towards me again.
Shut your ass
okay?
up.
You better not step towards me again.
Shut your ass
you
up.
Right.
I'm right here.
Okay, take another step.
Physical distance.
I know.
Arms length.
You right.
I know
Listen,
the law. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. You shouldn't have a badge on, you fucking bully. This is what's going on. If the people in the community are mad about what y'all doing, you should be listening to what they say and trying to fix it. Not getting in their face talking about, I wish you would, because I will. I'm not scared. You see how many of y'all, comrades, walk 50 feet that way. Walk 50 feet that way. Excuse me, can y'all back up just a little bit? I want to display something. I'm by myself. I'm not scared of all of y'all. Right? I'm telling you, if black people are brutalized in Philadelphia, we gonna get involved. We don't want to get involved. We want to serve the community together. We want to stop the drugs and stuff together. But you can't be on both sides of the line. So you can't be punching people or stepping. If you don't hurt people, you ain't got to
towards me again.
Shut your ass
okay?
up.
You better not step towards me again.
Shut your ass
you
up.
Right.
I'm right here.
Okay, take another step.
Physical distance.
I know.
Arms length.
You right.
I know
Listen,
the law.
I know
I'm right. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. You shouldn't have a badge on, you fucking bully. This is what's going on. If the people in the community are mad about what y'all doing, you should be listening to what they say and trying to fix it. Not getting in their face talking about, I wish you would, because I will. I'm not scared. You see how many of y'all, comrades.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Mercy.
Welcome back. Another episode of Old School Cops. You got the 3-man unit, the most experienced 3-man unit in social media, giving you assessments. These guys, we know everything. Not everything. We know a lot. I won't say everything, but we know a lot. I feel like we know everything because we got the OG rod in the car. When you got a senior guy that's been doing police work longer than you've been alive, you feel like you know everything because you got a wealth of knowledge riding with you. When I tell you the OG Tech Golden, he's been doing police work for over 40 years. He's been doing police work for over 40 years. He was a city cop, did amazing work. Then he went to the feds on a DEL level. Then he started doing it nationwide. Then I got my boy Shane. He was a commander of the SWAT team. He also was a member of the Red Dog unit, a real aggressive street enforcement unit like myself, who went out and tackled guys when he caught talking about guns and drugs. That's the unit that he was a part of. Listen, when I see these videos, man, sometimes it just boils under my skin, right? You got a member of the community, right, around nothing but black officers, right? And a lot of times that I've seen where white officers misread black individuals all the time because they don't understand the community, they don't understand the culture. Somebody expressing himself like this guy was, I didn't even see a threat there. I seen somebody that was passionately expressing a concern to the police. You got to look like a lieutenant in a white shirt. He was comfortable. You could tell his posture. He didn't feel threatened. All the other officers didn't feel threatened. And then the guy who was the furthest away had so much to say. Don't get out my face. Like, what are we doing? We tough guys or we cops trying to solve a community problem? To me, it sounded like the guy had an issue with the enforcement of how the police was conducting themselves, just based on the language alone. I would have loved to be in uniform in that particular environment because the guy was saying, we need to figure this out together. So when you got somebody from the community saying, yo, this is something that we need to get, I embrace that. I embrace those conversations. Okay, what do you see that where you think where we went wrong? Because a lot of times I was in those environments and I was able to articulate and explain why the officers did certain things. And then like, oh, I didn't even look at it that way. Sometimes it takes educating the people on why officers will pull a gun out and put it down to a side because they pull over a car that they can't see inside because the tent is too dark, right? You got to be able to have this back and forth dialogue, because sometimes if you don't understand why the officers doing what they're doing, you could quickly assume the worst case scenario. But when you explain it, I say about 90, because regardless of how much you explain, you're always going to have one person that's not going to see it from your side. I've turned people mindset around so much by just communicating with them, by explaining why things are done a certain way, and even taking accountability when they've done the wrong way. You're right, my bad. I'm gonna apologize for that officer. What he did was wrong. That's not how he should have done. That's not how policing is conducted. He was so wrong, and I guarantee you, I'm gonna talk to the boss and see if we can get some type of corrective actions done with this dude. Right? I have said that like a lot of times, and you'll be surprised how much respect level that somebody perceived. Like, damn, cops never take accountability for anything. But to say, yeah, he was wrong, I'm gonna apologize for him. It goes tremendously far away. So when I see this, I just see like, dude, what are you what are you trying to prove? It's 4 or 5. You got a lieutenant there. The guy was no threat at all. Then you get into a back and forth pissing conversation about, yo, I don't need to be scared. You need to be. No, we're cops. You shouldn't be scared. That's the first thing I would say. Nobody. I don't want you to be scared. You should. I'm the police. I'm going to be here for you. Like, you should not be scared of the police, right? But when you got the officer there trying to be a tough guy, you should be scared. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? The guy was passionately explaining his grief, his gripe, his complaint about the community and how he would like to see us work together, not they coming in and pounding on whatever the incident was. We don't know the entire of what they said. But when we look at this scene, it's very obviously that he was passionately explaining himself, and the officer, he could have escalated that to something that it shouldn't have been. In my eyes, the officer was dead wrong. He get an F. He shouldn't even be on a job if that right there will take you from 0 to 100 because somebody's just expressing himself. And then he wasn't even he wasn't even the closest officer to the guy. He was actually the one furthest away. Like, I hate that because it's embarrassing. And Shane, partner, tell me what you think, bro.
Brother, you hit a lot of hot points, First, as officers, the first day in the academy we learn is how to de-escalate. De-escalate. You know, we have a term in the academy, a term as officers use all the time. It's verbal judo. And really, it gets from the actual art form of martial arts of judo, which emphasizes really to redirect an opponent's energy than opposing it directly. You redirect. So verbal judo, basically what it does is redirects a person's emotions or behavior toward cooperation. Key point. Here's some key points we learned from the academy. We're going way, way back. Empathy. Empathy means listening, showing, and understanding of the other person's perspective. Okay? Deflection. You redirect hostility with calmness, respectfulness, and response to avoid emotions. Okay? You use words like ask, can I help you with something? Set a contest. I'm here because of X, Y, Z. Present options. Would you mind doing this for me? There's a certain tone, there's a certain way that you can talk to a subject to get compliance. This officer wanted a combative form. He wanted to fight back, kept talking. Yeah, I wish you would. Let's do something. Get out my face, back up. The guy was nowhere near him. And first of all, do you notice it was 6 officers to one guy? Why are we being so antagonistic? It was 6 officers to one guy. But I have to give the other, I think he might have been a sergeant, some credit. He tried to calm down the situation. As the video plays on, the sergeant calmed down the situation, talked to him plainly and said, hey, I understand where you're coming from. We're going to do this better next time, what have you, and try to bring the situation down. There was no need for that officer there. And if you got a chip on your shoulder, this is not a job for you. We have to be professionals at all times. Listen, subject going to curse at us. They're going to scream at us. They're going to throw things at us. They're going to pretend they're going to hit us. You got to remain stoic. You got to remain calm. You got to show empathy and use your words to redirect that aggression. It's very simple. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
We said this many, many times before, guys. You get more bees with honey than vinegar. It's just as simple as that. So I want to give him an F also. I give him an F, but I give the subject an A because he had his comrades step away. Guys, go away. Go away. He was teaching them a lesson. Step back. Let me tell you guys what's going on. We should work together. If there's a complaint going on in the community, let's work together. If you're hearing a complaint from us, find out what it is and try to resolve it. That is expert policing. If I hear a complaint, there's something going on, I want to fix the area. Back in my day, I used to get out the car and walk my beat. I wouldn't drive around. I would walk. When I did that, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, the uncles, the aunties, any that was going on, hey, call Officer Browder. They told me information before I even knew of it. That's how I got a lot of arrests. So if you build a rapport with the community members, you're going to get more from them. And that's all it takes. I was never a car guy. I always walk my beat. I'll give candy out to the kids. I throw my football, play little games. And guess what? The community had my respect. It's very simple, guys. Policing is very simple. Use what you got to bear to your benefit. You don't need the guns and knives. Use your brain and you got it. I'll pass it on to Ted.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And you mentioned something that I ain't even could think about until you mentioned it. Yo, the subject who was talking, he seemed more professional than the actual officer who went off. Like, yo, it was just like, yo, it was just, he was calm, he was collective. He might have been raising his voice, but in that environment, we talk passion. That was
exactly.
It was
a
passionate conversation.
Yes.
So it was just amazing how he handled a disorderly cop.
Disorderly subject. That's right. That's right.
And you notice he was the biggest brother out there, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
the
he
one that should
was.
have been the least intimidated. You know.
Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna borrow from my namesake, Theodore Roosevelt. Talk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to get
Right
folks'
there.
attention. You want to get folks' attention when you're talking softly, because then you're going to find out who really knows, understands what you're saying. Now I'm going to use a little bit of nonviolence training here. It's called listening and hearing, and you really can't operate in a community when you don't listen to the community. And when they know you're listening and hearing, because what you should be doing when you're listening and hearing is to repeat back what they just told you and make sure that you got it right. That's the first step to nonviolence, information gathering. Making sure that you understand what's going on. And you know what would have been even better is to sit down in a calm environment later on and have a conversation with this brother and his people to figure out how you can work together to make things better and safer in your community. At the South Precinct here in DeKalb County, where I live, we used to have a community meeting once a month with the mayor of the South Precinct. And let me tell you something, man, they came from far and near. Old folk, young folk. We even had a kid that's sitting there. We thought he was an adult. He was a 15-year-old high school student that left the high school and to go to online school because he was being bullied in the school. He left the school and he came to our community meeting, and we thought he was an adult. He was actually a 15-year-old kid. So when you have interactions with community and the word spreads around that you're listening and you're hearing, it makes a big difference in how things happen. Because like you said earlier, Joe, they will let you know when bad things happen. They'll tell you who's doing what, when they're doing it, what time they're coming back. They do it every night.
Right.
The other thing is, we work for them. It is so difficult for folk to understand that. We're here to help make you safer, not to make you scared. My project boy, when the police rolled in deep, we ran home. We knew something was up. Okay?
Right.
Okay. It was nothing to get up the next morning and some guy's laying in the middle of the middle of the walkway, sliced up, and blood's on different people's doors because he knocked on their doors and they wouldn't open the door to let him in. It was nothing to have folk walking around fighting like cats and dogs all day, whole families fighting. And the police finally show up, everybody go home. But we have to realize that you live in a neighborhood too. Okay, and you ought to live in a neighborhood too. And that's where our fault comes in at. You know, we need to start, basically, when you do police academy training, there should be a time before you finish your training that you actually go into the community and volunteer in the homeless shelter, volunteer in the youth center, volunteer at the churches giving out food, volunteer at an after school program in a low income neighborhood, so you at least can understand why people do what they do. My number 2 son, he wouldn't write tickets, Joe. Here in DeKalb County, he wouldn't write tickets. He said, Dad, if they could afford to put the tags on the car, okay, they would have done it. Why am I going to give them a ticket and make it worse for them?
Yeah, that makes sense.
If they could afford to have a car seat for their kid, they'd have done it. But me giving them a ticket on top of it is not going to help them. You know, so he wouldn't write tickets, and then I'll do a reverse on you. So when I was a Memphis cop, they put me in the Midtown area one time or 2 times, and you know, we had these little short tickets because you had to have an inspection sticker to park your car overnight. And I worked the midnight shift. So I hit this neighborhood in Midtown. Man, I wrote a whole book of tickets, 30 tickets in that book. I ran out of tickets. No joke. About 4 o'clock in the morning, Captain said, go and meet me at the precinct. I get to the precinct. He got all my tickets in hand. Okay? He said, you can't be going around this neighborhood and writing these tickets. I said, Captain, they're parking their car on a Memphis street after dark. You got to have an inspection sticker. He said, well, there are some exceptions, Golden. You got to make some exceptions. And I went, okay, I understand. When I'm in that side of town, don't write them. I got you. So they do what they want to support their own folk. You know, like one time I asked a woman to get out. It was raining cats and dogs. I'm asked her to get out of the car because I didn't walk up on cars at night. It was raining cats and dogs. Old white woman. She was speeding like crazy. I said, ma'am, meet me back here in the back of the car. And she got out and came out. And it was raining cats and dogs. She didn't have an umbrella. I didn't either. We got soaking wet. And he said to me, well, you know, you can't have people getting out of the car. I said, Captain, are you telling me that I can't ask someone to step out of the car as part of the way I do my business when I'm stopping people? I'm not saying that. I said, yes, you are. You're trying to tell me that I should go walk up to the car. I'm not walking up to no car by myself when I'm riding by myself. I don't walk up to nobody's car window in the darkness. I'm not doing it. Come out your car, meet me back here, and we're going to talk about what you did wrong. But I'm not doing that. And he couldn't make me do it either. He knew he couldn't. So, you know, we have to be conscientious regardless. Even though it was a white woman in Midtown, I didn't know that. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what race she was. I know she was 70 years old. You know, if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have had to get out of the car. But you know what? You got to treat everybody the same, especially when the color of darkness is out there, because you can't see shit. It's a whole different world of daylight. So, you know, we just got to be more conscientious. And I hate to say this, but I'm just being honest. If you're not a community person, if you don't understand how to treat people, and if you're not going to listen and hear what they say to you and repeat it back to make sure you got it right, then you're in the wrong job. It's almost as bad as being scared of being a cop when you out here treating folks like dogs. Okay? I'd rather you be scared, you know, than walk around here treating folks like they animals. You know, you can't be on these streets this time of night. You go home. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
You got to work together.
Makes absolutely no sense at all. Steve 4346. Let me know you still are attending, because if it is, we're going to answer your question or your statement. I don't know what it was if you are. So just give a thumbs up that you're still here, and then we'll address your question or your whatever it is that you said. Listen, we share in our experiences, our knowledge about being in law enforcement, and for the most part, we want you to get from is the officer has the home court advantage first and foremost. Don't fight with him on the side of the road. You will get hurt. You will get killed. The side of the road is not where you display your gripe. Don't do it on the side of the road. Take your L. Take it to the courtroom. More officers are getting fired, terminated. Well, fired and terminated, same thing. Suspended, charged. A lot more vindication now than you've ever seen in the history of law enforcement, but it's happening in the courtroom. So please take your fight to the courtroom, and I'll see you next video.
Be a man. Be a
Yeah,
man.
man. This what a man do right here. Walk off the bitch.
Oh, yeah, walk off.
Walk off the bitches with his shirt out, trying to show out in front of everybody. You a fucking, you embarrassing yourself. And then when I knock you out, you gonna go viral. Because people will record. Watch. I'm gonna go viral for knocking you out.
I'm placing you right now.
Go viral for knocking you the fuck out.
You don't go viral for doing nothing. For being a bitch. You don't go viral for walking next to me and not doing a goddamn thing.
That's the only reason I ain't gonna do nothing to you.
Oh!
Night, Quill. Night.
What's up, my PBM family? What's up? Another episode of Old School Cop presented by PBM. You got the most squad unit in social media. The more experienced the guys in the game, and our work experience, our knowledge of law enforcement makes us that great when it comes down to assessing these particular videos. You got the OG of law enforcement. I said it time and time again. He's been doing police work before me and Shane was born. Maybe not before we was born, but when we was in elementary school. He was
Diapers. Number 2 diapers, Joe.
He was a city cop that did so well outstanding on the city level. He took his talents to the federal government, became a federal agent. He became a DEA agent, and he went throughout the country from city to city, taking guns and drugs off the streets. So I give him a lot of respect because it takes a lot for anybody to hold accolades that he has, understanding the people, understanding the community, and understanding policing and tying it all together and making the community safer. They got my boy Shane, also from the community. And when I tell you, he went to the SWAT team, he made SWAT commander, excellent when it comes down to tactics. And everybody knows SWAT, bro. Like, you can't even say no more about the SWAT guys. Not only was he a SWAT commander, he was a member of the Red Dog team. And anybody knows BMF knows and understands the Red Dogs. This was a street enforcement unit designed to catch people like, Big Meech, and his whole squad setting up shop, trying to do their thing up in Atlanta. And my boy Shane was like, no, not without us interfering in that. So when I tell you, listen, he got a lot of accolades. So we got a nice squad here together tonight. I appreciate you guys sending these videos, right? This has absolutely nothing to do with police work. So I did tell you, you're going to see another side of the squad at times. Yes, the majority of the videos you guys send are police related, but when you start sending something like this, we're going to give you your feedback. You're going to get a different look, not just from a police aspect, but just from a human being, black guy who grew up in the projects, from the community, went to law enforcement, and had to see things a little differently. You know, I see a lot of comments sometimes where people say, the person was acting like an asshole. They deserve the officer to go outside of policy and just beat their ass. Fuck around and find out is what they call it. What is it? Play stupid game, win stupid prizes. I've heard that in the comments time and time again. But the difference is, right, as professional law enforcement officers, we have to perform above standard. You see this guy? He wasn't no cop. He was an average citizen walking down the street, minding his business. The other guy, fuck around and found out. You keep fucking with people, some shit will happen to you. As a guy with the law enforcement eyes and always held to a higher standard and had a lot of restraint and wanting to do what this guy did, I kind of smiled when I saw this. I'm like, I felt good, and I was like, you know what? His ass deserved it. He should have got his ass knocked out. And the guy warned him. We all got kids here. We've told our kids several times, if you can walk away from a fight, walk away. Do what you got to do, right? But if it comes down to you defend themselves, by all means, you do whatever you got to do, and then you call your dad, and we'll come and handle the situation. But if you got to walk away, if you can walk away from the fight. This dude did exactly that. He walked away. And the guy just kept acting. He just kept bothering him. He just kept bothering him, antagonizing him. Then he walked up on him. He fucked around and found out. As a law enforcement officer, yes, I would have loved to do that many times. Outside uniform, in uniform, because people are pains in the asses, just like this guy was. But we always we've always had to hold ourselves to a higher standards. So when you say fuck around and find out, play stupid game wins, you can't do that as a cop. We are held to a higher standard. We cannot respond like you see this guy respond. Was he wrong on how he responded? I don't think so. So for me, I kind of liked it. It felt good watching this guy who wanted to get his ass knocked out. To me, the guy warned him, leave me alone. You're going to get knocked out. He walked away from the guy. Guy rolled up on him. Wham! To me, it was good. We were in policing. It was justified. Go ahead, Shay. Tell us what you think about the video.
Man, my boy wanted that melatonin, man. He must have had a night. He want that melatonin real quick. What got me, man, was that as he was antagonizing this guy, he knocked him out and he kept stride. The guy came to him, he said, boop, and kept walking slow. It was crazy, man. It just tell you, don't antagonize people. Don't start trouble with people. Don't bite off more you can chew. It's really not necessary. Go about your life and just keep moving. And I commend the guy who hit him. He didn't stump him out when he was gone. He didn't say anything else. He kept going in stride. That's exactly how you handle a situation. Somebody attacks you, you defend your, handle your business, and keep it moving. I think he did an excellent job. I'm going to give him an A+. The way he handled himself, he kept in stride. And what's so funny is that the people that was walking, they kind of just walked over him. Because they saw the whole thing, Joe. They saw the whole thing.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Crazy. I'll pass it on to Big Brother Ted.
All right, OG, tell us what you think.
You know when you're in the hood. You know when you're in the hood. folk know not to mess with bro, man, okay? Because normally they start selling wolf tickets. Oh, did you see what he did? Oh, they get all loud and ruckus and stuff like that, start pointing the guy. No, they all kept walking. This is not the brother to mess with. Let's just keep walking. But it's unfortunate that you get caught up in stuff like that, because every once in a while you run across somebody that's antagonistic. And I'm going to admit this now. I'm going to admit this. We cleared out a club one night about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And dude, all you had to do is go home. Just go home. Stop drinking. Go home, because we don't want no mess tonight. Man, this guy got up in my face. He would not stop. And then what hurt him was when he said, "That ain't what your sister said last night." I said, "Okay, that's it. That's it. That's it." So I put him in his squad car. He going to jail. They put no handcuffs on him. Just put him in his squad car. He was drunk as Cootie Brown. So here comes his buddy running back to get him, fell in the middle of the doggone street, got up in my face. I said, "Oh, you going to?" Before it was all over, I set the unofficial record for the number of the most people in the backseat of a squad car. 7.
Oh, man.
7.
Dang.
3 on the bottom. 3 on the bottom. 2 sitting on top of them, and 2 prone.
Oh my God. Oh, that's crazy.
And the guy goes, "I gotta pee." He was on top. He said, "I gotta pee." And I said, "I guess y'all gonna get wet today."
That reminded me was kids. You go to the circus and you see them clowns come out the back of the car.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. So I took him down to the sheriff's office, which is wasn't but 2 miles, so the guy didn't pee on him. But we got to Sallyport, with the sheriff's office, and of course I got to give him a gun before I take him out. So when I started pulling these guys out of the car, by the time I got all of them out, I had about 20 guys standing outside going, "What the hell you doing tonight, Golden?" Because we looked like the clown car. I was pulling them out.
Oh,
They're all drunk.
That was good.
I just charged with public drunkenness. They pay $50 and they get out of jail. But they just wouldn't go home. I said, "Man, just go home."
I'm going to share something with the audience, right? So look, discretion is a powerful tool, and if it's used correctly, it's an amazing tool, but it can be used incorrectly. And what I mean by that is like we see a lot of videos where an officer could just not arrest, could just counsel, could release on summons. And this particular video, right? And I'm gonna throw it back at my squad, right? Say if you was the officer responding to this call of a man down, assault take place. You get there and you investigate, somebody has it on camera. How do you handle this call? And this is all just for my followers who's watching. This is a assault, a simple assault, right? This is a discretionary call right now. So I just want y'all to understand, when y'all dealing with these cops, there's a lot of discretion, there's a lot of leeway an officer has. So I'm telling you guys, I'm asking you guys, how would you handle it? Go ahead, OG.
Well, to be honest, in that situation, I would go ahead and call an ambulance, because this guy's obviously unconscious and he looks like he's intoxicated or high, one of the two. I would call an ambulance to make sure he's okay. And then if he ever regains consciousness, then of course he may say something about the person that knocked him the funk out. But more than likely, that person's already gone. So I would take a physical description of the person who he said knocked him the funk out, and we politely probably wouldn't find him. Let's put it that way. Now, admittedly, we have driven around the corner and let the guy out, because he did what he should have done in the first place. But when you do things a certain way, people know who you are and what you're all about. And it's like the guy who pulled up on the guy, the prostitute wanted her $20. He didn't want to give it to her. I said, man, just give her $20 so we can go home. He goes, I'm not. I said, why not? Man, she didn't have no teeth. She didn't have no teeth. I said, well, here's the problem. She don't mind going to jail. Do you mind going to jail? And he said, yeah. I said, well, you need to make a decision. $20 or $50? Which one you want to pay? And he looked at me and I said, I think we know what's going to happen here, right? He said, yes, sir. I said, have a good night. And next time, find somebody with teeth.
People, that's a discretionary call that is perfectly fine with officers. So I need you guys to understand, it's not cut and dry. Sometimes you will get us, this 3-man really experienced unit, go, nah, I'm not locking nobody up for that. Then you will get probably like somebody like B. Tatum that would lock your ass up with no problem. And you don't want to have that happen to you.
In a heartbeat.
Yes. Shane, tell me what you think.
Yeah, no, I had to agree. I would have did with Ted. I would have called the bus, took a description, and that's that. Make sure he got the guy on the bus okay. Took the information he had. And if I had video evidence, he would have been wrong. He was attacking us. He was an aggressor.
Right.
You call him and you're the aggressor. Now you put yourself in trouble.
Yeah. Really. And that's exactly how I would have handled it. I would have said, if I seen that on video, I'd be like, look, what you want to do? Because you look like the aggressor. He looked like he was defending himself. So I'm gonna make if anybody gonna get in trouble, it's gonna be you.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not even going looking for this guy if I see the video. Like, there's nothing for me to look at. The guy who was defending himself, you ran up on him, you antagonized him the whole time. I'm like, nah. Radio GOA, Planet is a little inebriated, and he'll advise. He refused medical because they always do once he get up.
Yep.
So nothing to report here. So listen, I love the videos that you send, even though this had nothing to do with policing. You got a chance to see us outside of a police viewing video. So regardless of what you see or what you want to get as far as our assessment, it don't necessarily have to be police work. So there is going to be more unrelated police assessments. So I appreciate the support, and please stay safe and take your fight to the courtroom. See you in the next video.
All right, now I got to go to bed. We done, right?
Yeah. Nice.